If you're a coach or consultant who's tired of hearing, "not now, it's too much," or endless excuses on sales calls, then you're gonna love this video. Because the truth is, with a few shifts, you can dramatically increase your ability to close high-end clients. Today, I'm sharing 7 keys to close more high-ticket sales so you can get on the phone with the right people, hold powerful enrollment conversations, and confidently sign bigger deals. Hi, I'm Jessica Yarbrough, top business strategist for coaches and consultants who want to sell and scale ultra high-end programs. I've helped my clients go from struggling to sell smaller deals to confidently closing 75,000, 100,000, even 300,000 plus deals. And these are the same strategies I use with them, and now I'm sharing with you. Let's dive in. Number 1, if you want to close more high-ticket sales, you need to be on the phone with the right people. Everything really begins here. Because if you're spending your time on calls with people who are unqualified, then no amount of sales skills is going to make them buy. The right people are those who already match your ideal client profile. They're decision makers. They're facing the problems that you solve, and they're actively looking for solutions. If you want to sell at a high level, you can't afford to waste energy on conversations that won't lead anywhere. And this is where marketing alignment comes in. Your messaging must be so precise that it calls in the right people and it really repels or filters out those wrong ones. For example, one of my clients, an executive coach, used to waste hours on calls with people who weren't able or ready to invest. And once we realigned her marketing, she started consistently getting on the phone with executives who had both the authority and the budget to move forward. And within months, her calendar transformed, and so did her results. Because when you're consistently speaking to the right people, everything changes, and you stop chasing and you start qualifying from a place of confidence. Let's be honest, if someone doesn't have the resources to invest or the tenacity to go out and find those resources, they're never going to buy, period. And this doesn't mean that they're bad people, it just means they're not the right clients for you. And yet so many coaches and consultants spend hours on conversations with people who can't afford them. And then they wonder why they're not closing sales. Just like my client, a business strategist who was stuck in a volume-based business model because she was marketing to people who had little to no money. We repositioned her to go after a higher caliber of clientele. She launched a brand new offer to her network at 5x the price of her previous one, and she closed 6 figures of business within just a few weeks. Another key to closing more high-ticket sales is to market to people with a budget. Your job is to position yourself so that you're marketing to prospects who actually have the financial resources to say yes. And this is why authority branding matters. Because when your marketing is low level, you attract those price shoppers. People that are, the cheapo, they only care about the lowest price, or the freeple that just want to book calls to pick your brain, and they have no intention of ever investing. You need to repel both. And the way to do that is through your positioning, your messaging, and your process. For example, your branding sets the tone for your price. Look like an expert and people will know you charge like one. Creating an application step before booking calls also instantly filters out people who aren't serious, and it protects your time. And finally, consistently communicating results instead of hours or deliverables helps the right client self-select. When you market to people with money, you stop wasting time and you start having real conversations with clients who are actually ready to invest. Another key to closing more high-ticket sales is to pre-frame your prospects to buy. Remember that for the high-end sales, 80% of those sales actually happen before a conversation ever takes place. That means your marketing, your content, your authority positioning, that's what should do the heavy lifting. And when this is dialed in, those prospects are coming to the call and they already know who you are. They know what you do and they know the value you deliver. They're not meeting you cold, they're meeting you warm, sometimes even hot and ready to buy. And this really does change everything, because instead of spending the first half hour of the call trying to explain yourself, you can spend the call confirming alignment. Do we connect? Do you trust me? Do you believe I can help you? For example, one of my clients was relying heavily on cold traffic. She had a lot of calls, but no one knew who she was or what she did, and so she went into convincing mode every single time. Once we shifted her marketing to build more authority, that dynamic changed completely. People began showing up already interested, already curious, and already believing she was the one who could help them, and her close rate skyrocketed. The lesson is simple. When your marketing is weak, your sales conversations feel like uphill battles. And when your marketing is strong, your sales conversations are alignment checks. By the way, if you haven't already downloaded a copy of the Ladder of Influence, it's all about really growing your authority. You're going to want to do that now, and that link is pinned below. Next, sales is both an art and a science. There's a structure, but there are also nuances that make all the difference. A big key to closing high-ticket sales is to know how to hold powerful enrollment conversations. And by the way, this isn't about pushing someone into a yes, but really about creating a space where your prospect feels understood and safe, and they're clear about the gap between where they're at and where they want to be. And then your job is to help them see how your solution bridges that gap. There's a natural arc to this. There's building rapport. There's asking questions to uncover their pain. There's painting a vision of possibility. There's demonstrating authority and making your invitation. But within that arc, there's subtleties, the tone of your voice, the pacing, the timing, and those can either build trust or erode it. I've listened to countless client sales calls over the years. Some were too rushed, some were too hesitant, but with coaching, they learned how to guide the call with confidence, hold the space for objections without collapsing, and make the close feel natural. When you master enrollment, you're no longer selling. You're simply leading someone into the transformation they're already looking for. Next, another key to closing more high-ticket sales is to talk less and listen more. This one seems really simple, but it is a game changer. Too many coaches dominate the conversation, thinking they need to prove their value by talking. But the truth is, the less you talk, the more you learn, and the more you learn, the easier it is to connect the dots and show exactly why you're the solution they're searching for. One of my clients, an executive coach, used to oversell. She'd literally interrupt the prospect during the inquiry process and try to solve their problems on the spot. I coached her to slow down, to listen more, to create space, and the shift was immediate. By letting her prospects actually open up and sit with her solution and pricing, she stopped talking herself out of deals and started closing more high-end engagements. So let your prospect do most of the talking. Ask smart, open-ended questions that get them to share not only their surface-level challenges, but also the deeper frustrations and goals. And listen deeply, not just to their words, but to the emotion behind them. And when it's time to present your offer, be clear and concise. Don't ramble on, don't over-explain, don't talk yourself out of the sale, especially when you reveal your price. Say it and then pause. Let them process. The silence can feel uncomfortable, but it's often in those moments of silence that the sale is actually made. Next, if you want to close more high-ticket sales in your coaching or consulting business, you must also maintain possession of the conversation. This is really about leadership. If you lose possession of the conversation, you lose authority. And that happens when a prospect tries to rush you, like demanding the pricing before they're qualified or hijacking the conversation, trying to take it off track. And it's tempting to follow their lead, especially if they're strong personalities, but when you do, you give up power. You must guide the process. You set the pace. You determine the flow. And this isn't about controlling, it's about protecting the integrity of the conversation so you can both determine whether it's truly a fit. Because here's the truth, if someone can't respect your process on a sales call, they won't respect you as a client either. So stand firm, redirect if needed, and remember, they came to you for help and you're in charge. Finally, if you want to close more high-ticket sales, make sure they're actually ready. Sometimes you'll have a call where everything lines up. The client is qualified, they had the budget, they're a great fit, you held the perfect, powerful conversation, and yet they still say no. And that's because they're simply not ready. Maybe it's fear, maybe it's timing, maybe it's a commitment issue. Whatever the reason, it's not necessarily about you. Your job isn't to force readiness. Your job is to show up powerfully, present the invitation, and let them choose. And when they're ready, they'll come back. I've had so many incredible clients who just weren't ready. One came back after 6 months. My pricing net had actually gone up and she ended up paying more, but it didn't matter to her. She ended up implementing our systems and landed a 6-figure deal within a few weeks of joining, the biggest of her life. Her only words were, "Jessica, I wish I would have done this sooner." Sometimes they just aren't ready. Don't pressure. I always tell people you're either ready or you're not. The key as a coach or consultant is not to get emotionally attached until someone has actually signed the contract and paid. That's when they're truly a client, and you can then invest your time and energy into their success. Until then, stay neutral, stay professional, and keep moving forward. This wraps up my video on the 7 keys to closing more high-ticket sales in your coaching or consulting business. Please drop a comment below and let me know your thoughts. Until next time.